When it comes to the topic of creating online courses, there are a lot of things to consider. Things like what to teach, how to get students into your course. Should you use a self-hosted platform like Teachable or Thinkific, or an online marketplace like Skillshare or Udemy? And these are all really, really great points for any instructor to consider. But really, at the end of the day, the only thing that actually matters, and it's the one thing that we don't talk about enough, is how people actually feel about the content within your course. Are they loving your content and your style and they're excited to learn more from you? Or are they kind of checked out by the second lesson, ready to leave or refund their purchase? So that's exactly what we're going to cover in this video, where I'm going to be giving you my 5 ingredients for creating epic content for your online courses that's going to keep your students happy, engaged, and ready to learn anything and everything that you present to them within your course. But just before we dive into everything, if you find the information here really valuable, then please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to my channel so I can keep on sharing my best tips and tricks with you through my videos. And now, if you're ready, let's dive into what I've learned from creating content for 18,000 students in my online courses, and how you can incorporate this knowledge into your own online courses as well. Simplicity. It sounds so simple, and yet it's the hardest thing for beginners to master. Because when you're a beginner in anything, you always feel like you need to overcompensate for your lack of experience by going above and beyond in other ways, which sounds really good, but usually you end up with slides like these with way too much information on them and overwhelming people. That also then leads to people taking screenshots and not paying attention to what you're teaching, or taking screenshots to actually steal your content and sell it as their own. So if you ever feel like there's just too much stuff on your slides, whether it's the text or the graphics or the colors or the fonts, you're probably right. So just remember that less is more, and sometimes I seriously just have one slide with one word or a really simple sentence there for my students, which means that they have to pay attention to my explanation of what's on the slide instead of paying attention to the slide itself. And that's also less work for you, which is always a bonus. Now, in terms of entertainment, it does have to be right for your audience. It's not right for every niche, but if you can use memes or other types of popular content in your slides to make your point, it can be a really great way to keep your audience engaged. This is an example of a slide from one of my lessons about retargeting efforts, where I used this meme of Liam Neeson to really hammer in on my point, and it was a really great way to be playful with my audience. But maybe if memes are just a little bit too playful for your types of audience, you can always use GIFs in your content. So you can use GIFs to celebrate student achievements and keep them motivated to keep going through the course content. Or like this one here on the right, you can use GIFs to demonstrate certain points that you're making throughout the course as well. And really, I can't stress this enough, but it really should be fun for you to present as much as it is fun for your students to learn from, because people can hear it in your voice if you're bored presenting something. So doing these kinds of things means that it's going to be a lot more entertaining for you to present as well, and that's going to really impact the quality of your course. But if that's still too playful for you, there are still other ways that you can engage your students throughout your courses, and one really powerful way to do that is through animated elements that can sort of enhance the point that you're making. So in this example, I would likely be making a point that LinkedIn is a better strategy than Facebook for a particular social media client or industry, and I could use these little animations to really get that point across. And another great way to keep your audience engaged is to just use different creative elements throughout your slides, like screenshots of examples of great websites or ads or recipes or whatever else that you're talking about throughout your lessons. You can always use screenshots of examples of how other people have done it, even if maybe you don't have the results yet to back it up if you're a beginner instructor. And if it's right for your brand, you can take that one step further with the use of mock-ups. So this is an example of how I've done this in a recent lesson, where I created a mock-up of 5 different Facebook ads to talk to my students about the importance of split testing ad creatives. And of course, I could have easily just had a slide and written, hey, make sure to test different images and creatives in your ads. But doing it this way with my mock-ups was a lot more engaging, especially because we're talking about a creative concept, but also because a lot of people are visual learners. So anytime you can bring in different visual elements like this, it can be a really powerful way for your students to retain information over just text slides. So my general rule of thumb here is to have more slides than minutes in your lessons. So if you have a 10-minute lesson, that's pure slides and nothing else, you want to make sure you have at least 10 to 15 slides. Then if you have a bit of a longer idea to communicate, you can just split it into 2 or 3 slides and give each point within that kind of larger category its own slide. Because people have the attention span of TikTok and basically a small child in a candy store. So you can't really expect people to pay attention for longer than about a minute at a time. And finally, let's talk about branding. So it's important to stay on brand, but give each of your courses or each of your lessons a bit of a unique edge to give people something a little bit fun and surprising. It's natural that your slide designs are going to go through a bit of an evolution as you learn more and you create more. And I just wanted to throw in a couple of examples of my very first slides just for comparison so you can feel a lot better about your own. So these are my old slide designs for my intro slides on the left and a content slide on the right. And I guess I was being consistent, but definitely not on brand and just kind of sort of hideous. But it's really important to note that you just have to start somewhere and improve as you go. My content slides had way too much text on them. I had this weird like opacity thing with my images. Everything was just confusing and messy, and I took way too long to present each slide. But now, as a result of just creating and testing what works and listening to my students as well, my slides now look beautiful and they're a lot more engaging and on brand. It's just important to experiment a little bit within the brand boundaries, I suppose. So as long as you feel like it's on brand to you, then, everything from your course merchandising to your PDFs to your Facebook ads and everything else surrounding your course should ideally be on brand, but that might mean something totally different to you than it does to me. And as long as you still feel like it's a cohesive experience for your students from the very first touch point to the point where they're taking your course and everything sort of makes sense, then I honestly think it's fine to experiment and learn through a bit of trial and error on that front. So those are my 5 ingredients for creating awesome content for your online courses and your lessons within them. So keeping things really simple, engaging, entertaining, keeping up a really good pace, and keeping things on brand as much as possible as well. If you can cover those 5 things in your online courses, I can guarantee that your students are going to be super excited to learn from you and engage with you throughout your content. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about how I actually go through and create my slides with these kind of animated elements and GIFs and everything else that we talked about in this video, then make sure to check out my other video where I take you through the whole process of how to create this stuff within Canva. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like more tutorials on how to create more impactful creative content online, make sure to subscribe to the channel or keep on learning from these awesome videos over here. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you next time.